The project was to redesign a logo for a New York makeup artist. It was a personal project for my brother starting out in his industry. I was given deliverables of the logo needing to work on a business card, website, and social media, and I was also given 4 to 8 logo samples to have a base idea on the outcome. With this project, the things that did not go well was that I was not given a date of completion and I did not set up a timeline or any sort of project guidance for myself. And I simply just worked on the project whenever I had the time to do so. It was my first graphic design project, but I had no idea where to start. I did have a little communication with the client during the beginning phase when I was just drawing sketch ideas to make sure I was on the same page. And I mainly just used email as a source of communication. With the project outcome, I wasn't 100% satisfied with the way that I completed the project because it did take well over 5 months to finish. And while my brother did enjoy the logo, I offered to also make him a business card as well to compensate for that. I do think I would have had this project done in a timely manner if I'd properly planned and treated like this like I would treat a real client. It was a pretty neutral experience working on this project. I did enjoy creating the logo itself, but I do wish I came up with a plan of action rather than just jumping into the deep end and hoping for the best. I did learn from this being it my first project, and I'll take away from this and use it better for the next time. I learned that I needed to come up with an actual plan and to make sure I follow through and hold myself accountable for that plan. Next time, I'll start with a deadline, whether it's given to me or not, and list out the steps needed to reach that deadline. I'll also be realistic of these goals along the way to make sure I don't overcompensate for the spots of improvements from this project. If I could work on this project again, I would use a mix of the waterfall and the critical path method. The waterfall would ensure that each task is done before another gets started, which is important for this kind of project because it's very straightforward with not too many aspects to it. I would only add the timing from the critical path method to be able to come up with an exact deadline since I wasn't really given a deadline for this project. I would use the same technologies. I used Adobe InDesign, Photoshop, and Illustrator, as well as implementing a way to video chat, most likely FaceTime on a regular cadence. To implement this new process for this project, I would have sat down and mapped out every single task needed to complete the project. For this particular project, that could have been tasks would have been receiving mock logos from the client and discussing those project deliverables, a sketch phase. Then I would have a meeting with the client to discuss those sketches before moving on to the digital creation. I would spend most amount of time on that digital creation of the logo. And then that next step would just be to present the logos and get essentially a sign off from the client. This new process would have definitely changed the outcome of the project. It would have made the client happier with the final deliverables as they were more tied into the design rather than me just working off initial mock-ups and having more communication about what the client wants. I would have also been able to complete the work in about a month, maybe 6 weeks max, rather than the 5 months it took, just from having a simple plan of action. It also would have been less work, as my first initial logo I created, the client was not a fan of. So I essentially had to start from scratch, which could have been avoided with more communication from the client. The skills I learned in this course, I would use both personally and professionally. I've always done some of the PM responsibilities as a shift supervisor, but now I'm actually able to create a plan of action and have some sort of following method that I can use. I've been using the agile method in my own professional life, just being able to hear feedback and open the floor for discussion, just to be able to understand what everyone else is feeling. Um, this allows for everyone to feel like they have an input and it's more likely to follow these new actions if they're feeling heard. And in my personal life, I've just been able to properly communicate my thoughts and ideas while also setting expectations and boundaries. It intrigued me how much of these PM responsibilities I was able to apply in my personal life.